Okay, I don't do this very often, but I thought I'd get on for a quick few minutes. I just tried to record something about 5 minutes ago, and apparently you have to hit the button twice. What I wanted to share, and I will make it much shorter than you would have heard, is that I was part of a great lesson today at church, David and Goliath, and I was able to team up with Pastor Thomas and Hope Zane, and we shared some lion and bear stories that were in conjunction with the final big story of Goliath. Many of you may have read the David and Goliath story before, but if you're like me, I never put much into the part that comes before he takes down the giant. Uh, Big victories are where we spend a lot of our time. I know for me, I like to know final outcomes, or when I reflect on my life, I like to think back on all the big things, you know, uh, college, or certain things in high school, or getting married, or having my boys, or buying my house. All wonderful things, Goliath things, positive and amazing and wonderful, and but I don't look at the small things, the things that led up to those things. Oftentimes, we're told that it's the journey, not the destination, and that's kind of the case with David and Goliath. Uh, David was a shepherd. And if you know much about shepherds, you know they're out in the field for several hours or days. They're by themselves. They talk to themselves. They stink. They're all into their animals, so they smell like their animals too. And they're very protectant of their animals. It's a very serious job. You have to protect those animals because in many cases it's your livelihood. So David was a shepherd boy, and he was put in a position where he had to take action. Um, so he had been talking to Saul, who was addressing this problem with this Goliath, who was across the way and was taunting and bullying them, all these people of God, and 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 just giving them a hard time, and threatening violence, and threatening chaos and destruction. And David said, "Well, hey, I want to take my hand at him. I think I can handle him." And this is my version of the story, by the way. And Saul said, "Well, you're a shepherd boy. What do you know? What can you do?" And he's like, "Well, I've had some victories of my own, and I know God is on my side, and God has never forsaken me. And I know I didn't do these previous victories on my own. I know God helped, and God put me in that position, and God got me through it. So I want to give this a shot." And Saul was like, "Okay." And David said, "Well, let me tell you a couple little stories. See, there's these sheep that I tend to, and a lion came up and he tried to get the lion from me, or the sheep from me. And so I had to get the sheep back from the lion, and ultimately I killed the lion." Of course, Saul was like, that's a pretty good story. He's like, "Well, there's this time that a bear tried to get my sheep, and I got the sheep back, but then the bear attacked me and I had to kill the bear." So of course Saul was like, "Well, that's a nice story. Um, Amazing. That's great. That's wonderful." Um, and and David said, "Well, God never forsake. He 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 didn't leave me alone out there to fend for myself back then. Why would he do it now? He got me through those things. He has never forsaken me, and I think I could take Goliath. So here's where the part of the story that most of us know is where David approaches this gigantic beast of a person, Goliath, and he takes him down with one stone. And that's the victory. He did it, which is in and of itself, it's amazing. But as people, we sometimes forget how amazing was it for him to be able to protect his entire flock of sheep from bears and lions. Huge, right? So when I look at my own life and I think, what are my big things? I don't have enough big things. I don't have any unique big wow things. Or I dismiss even some of the ones that are pretty wow. Anyway, I carve it away to where, like, well, anybody could have done that. Anybody could do that if they wanted to. So ultimately, I realized that that's not what God wants me to do. God wants me to look at those bear and lion stories, those times that I got through 40 chemotherapies and I'm here right now talking, or the time I made it through the bone biopsy and emotionally and physically healed from that moment, or the times that I've been able to share my story with other people, or be an example for others, or carry on and not roll up into a ball. The times that I don't want to get out of bed, I want to cry all day and wallow in my pity and say why me, and question my existence and God's plan and everything, but I get out of bed. I need to celebrate those moments because those are victories. Those are huge, and those are amazing just as much as the final one. I do see metastatic breast cancer as my Goliath, my big thing. It does overshadow a lot of things, and I'm not sure that I need to let it. I'm somewhat at peace with it, in the sense that I've changed my perception of my purpose over time. I don't look at things as me being on borrowed time. I'm on God's time. I was given 6 months or so past diagnosis, and we're about at 3 years. And sometimes then I get scared all over again. Well, okay, if I was only supposed to have 6 months and I'm at 3 years, now am I done? I want some sort of countdown. How many more minutes do I have? Is this the night before? I don't know. And as a person, I can't always live every day as a party, like I feel like I should be like celebrating every day. Ooh, I have one more day. And I'm starting to allow myself to not feel guilty about that. I'm still a person. I still have hurts and struggles and challenges, but I do want to shift, and I do want to be more like David. I want to be like David in ways of being obedient to God, listening to God more, being faithful in God, and realizing that He has a plan for me, and I should trust Him in His plan, and look at the past victories, the things that he got me through already. You know, I didn't do that on my own. And as much as I think I can do it on my own, I'm strong. I got the Norwegian blood, the Viking in me. I'm really not that strong. I'm just not. So, thanks for listening. It's been about 10 minutes already. Didn't mean for it to go this far. I just had so much to say about it. It was so fantastic. So for now, this is Julia. Aloha. Thank you. Bye.